You're a fifty.
Did you eat all your chicken?
It's broccoli there. Marvellous.
Did you eat your chicken?
Yeah.
If not, dog will eat it.
Are you done eating or are you still eating?
I'm still eating.
Oh, yeah.
You know that 7 up really quickly.
I know, she did. She was finished before we finished painting up the rest.
I think she was like this.
Yeah, I do.
Look.
Right, I need to press play, so you need to shut up, alright?
It's really fun.
Oh, yeah.
I've already saved on the game.
Good job.
And where is the plug yet to charge my computer? It's in
In your bedroom.
Okay.
You put it in the wall.
First was William Henry Harrison, elected in 1840. He died of pneumonia a month after being sworn in. Then in 1860 came Abraham Lincoln, and we all know how that ended. In 1880, James Garfield was elected president, and he was also
He got ill because of his inauguration.
Yeah.
An icy cold. Yeah, and he was ill basically since then.
assassinated by a man named Charles Guiteau. William McKinley might have escaped this alleged curse if he stuck at just one term. Alas, in 1900 he was elected president to his second term, and a year later he was shot and killed by an anarchist. Next up was Warren G. Harding, who suffered a stroke 3 years after being elected in 1920. Afterwards came Franklin Roosevelt, who passed away of cerebral hemorrhage in 1945. While he did die in office, he didn't actually die during the term which allegedly sealed his fate. And last but not least, it was JFK, who won the 1960 election and whose assassination is all too well known. As you can see, 7 presidents followed this extraordinary pattern. Many see it as what it probably is, a series of incredible coincidences, but others claim it is a curse placed on William Henry Harrison by Tecumseh, leader of the Shawnee people, for the former's role in Tecumseh's rebellion. Ronald Reagan would have been next in line. He was elected in 1980, and although someone did try to kill him, he survived his injuries and died of old age decades after he left office. Even if the curse was real, it appears that he broke it. The church story. At 7:25 p.m., March the 1st, 1950, the West Side Baptist Church in Beatrice, Nebraska, exploded due to a natural gas leak ignited by the fire from the furnace. It was Wednesday, and every Wednesday at 7:20 p.m. sharp, the church choir gathered there to practice. People were expecting the worst as they approached the smoking rubble, but it soon became apparent that nobody had been injured in the blast. Even though the choir director was very strict about tardiness, on this particular night, none of the 15 choir members arrived on time. It wasn't one single thing that caused the delays either, but rather a series of minor occurrences that detained each person enough to evade the deadly blast. The Reverend and his family, for example, were late because his wife had to hire a dress at the last moment. 2 sisters, both from Garfield. 2 high school girls wanted to finish listening to a radio program, while another student was struggling with their geometry homework. The pianist fell asleep after dinner. A man was late because he wanted to finish writing a letter he kept putting off, while one woman was simply feeling lazy because it was cold outside and her home was warm and cozy. And so wins all the other excuses. Unsurprisingly, given the nature of the circumstances, some people considered it divine intervention. Number 6. Right place, right time. Joseph Figlock became a hero of Detroit due to a bizarre series of events that happened over the course of a year. One morning in 1937, Figlock was at his job as a street sweeper when he was struck by something that landed on his head and shoulders. That something was a baby girl who fell out of a 4-story window. Because Figlock broke her fall, the infant survived her drop that otherwise would have almost surely been fatal. A year later, the street sweeper was back at his job when he was again hit by a falling object. You guessed it, it was another baby. This time it was 2-year-old David Thomas who fell out of his window on the 4th floor. This baby did sustain some injuries, but once more escaped certain doom thanks to Joseph Figlock being in the right place at the right time. Now, good news for you, you're in the right place at the right time right now, because today I want to tell you about our fantastic sponsor, CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is a subscription streaming service that offers over 2,000 documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals. If you're enjoying this video, then why not try out CuriosityStream for free and check out their docuseries called The Butterfly Effect. which, as you can probably guess, is a series which looks at what would happen if certain major world events had not happened. So, what if there was no Cold War, or what if Martin Luther King had never been assassinated? It's things like that. It's a really great series. Curiosity Stream is available on many platforms: web app, Roku, Android, Xbox One, smart TVs, iOS, Chromebooks. The list goes on. It's also available worldwide. You can get unlimited access starting at just $2.99 a month. And for you guys, the first 30 days are completely free if you sign up at curiositystream.com/top10s and use the promo code top10s during the sign-up process. It's a great way to support the show. It keeps us making more videos, and I really couldn't think of a better fit for a channel like this. And let's get into the top 5. Number 5.
Skip ordinary. Skip complicated. Take us home.
Number 5. Miss Unsinkable. Violet Jessup was born in Argentina to Irish immigrants in 1887. When she turned 21, she found work as a ship stewardess and, in 1911, secured a position on board the RMS Olympic, the first of the Olympic-class ocean liners built by the White Star Line at the start of the century. At the time, these were the largest, most luxurious ships in the world. Jessup was probably thrilled with her new job, but pretty soon she might have reconsidered her fortunes. In September 1911, Jessup was on board the Olympic when it collided with a warship called the HMS Hawke. The collision wasn't too bad, and the ocean liner managed to make it to port without any fatalities. This incident didn't deter Jessup from continuing her career as a stewardess. Although she was content aboard the Olympic, her friends persuaded her that it would make for a much more exciting experience to work on board the White Star Line's new ocean liner. After all, the vessel was proclaimed to be unsinkable, and of course its name was the Titanic. You already know how this went down. Literally, just 4 days into its maiden voyage, the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank. Jessup survived the ordeal as she was lowered down into lifeboat 16, which was later picked up by the RMS Carpathia. She later recalled that as the boat was being lowered, an officer put a baby in her lap. Later aboard the Carpathia, a woman leaped at her, snatched the baby and ran. Jessup always assumed that this was her mother, but she never saw either one of them again. Then World War II started, and Jessup served as a nurse for the British Red Cross. She worked aboard the Britannic, which was the third and last of the Olympic-class ocean liners, and had been repurposed into a hospital ship. In 1916, the vessel suffered damage from a mine explosion and sank in the Aegean Sea. For the third time in just 5 years, Violet Jessup had survived a shipwreck, retroactively earning her the nickname Miss Unsinkable. Number 4. The Opposing Graves. Just outside of the Belgian town of Mons sits the St. Symphorian Military Cemetery, which serves as the final resting place of over 500 soldiers who died in the First World War. Many of these men perished in the Battle of Mons, which took place on August 23rd, 1914, and is considered to be the first major action of the British Army in the war. One of these men, however, died a little earlier. John Parr was a private. He was born in London and lied about his age so that he wouldn't list. He served as a reconnaissance cyclist and scouted the area ahead of his battalion. However, he was gunned down by enemy fire and died on August 21st at only 17 years of age. He is generally considered to be the first British serviceman killed in action during the First World War. His grave is at St. Symphorian, and opposite of it, just a few yards away, is the grave of Private George Ellison. He died years later on November the 11th, 1918. This date is significant because it is in fact the day that Germany and the Allies signed an armistice, bringing an end to the war. George Ellison was killed just 90 minutes before peace was declared, thus giving him the unfortunate distinction of being the last British soldier killed in the war. These two graves face each other, although this was done completely unintentionally, as nobody was aware of their first and last positions when they were buried. Number 3. Death at Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam was one of the greatest, most ambitious engineering projects of its day, but it came with a heavy price as a lot of people died during its construction. Exactly how many is a matter of debate. Officially, the death toll was 96, but historians argue that the real number would be much higher because the official version didn't take into account workers who died off-site of construction-related injuries or illnesses. An inquiry by the US Bureau of Reclamation increased the number to 213 deaths between 1921 and 1935. The first fatality was a surveyor named John Gregory Tierney, who drowned in the Colorado River on December the 20th, 1921, after he got caught in a flash flood. Technically, another worker named Harold Connolly died first, but his demise was completely unconnected with the project as he drowned in the river when he was swimming. Here is the truly tragic part. The last fatality registered during construction of the Hoover Dam occurred on December the 20th, 1935, exactly 14 years to the day after Tierney drowned when the 25-year-old electrician's helper plummeted 320 feet from one of the intake towers. That man was Patrick Tierney, the surveyor's son. Number 2. The King and his double. Some say that we all have a doppelganger somewhere in the world, a person who isn't related to us in any way, but they look just like us. King Umberto I of Italy found his doppelganger in 1900 when he went to eat at a little restaurant in Monza. He discovered that the proprietor looked almost exactly like him, that more than that, they had been born on the same day. At this point, you'd probably think this was most likely a case of twins separated at birth, but the coincidences didn't stop there. Both men had married women named Margarita and had sons named Vittorio. Moreover, the restaurant owner had opened his establishments on the day of King Umberto's coronation. Shocked to his core by these revelations, the king invited his doppelganger, or long-lost twin maybe, to an event taking place the next day. Sadly, neither one made it. The next morning, the restaurateur was killed under unexplained conditions. Just hours later, when King Umberto found out about his demise, he was assassinated by an anarchist. Number 1. The Writer and the Comet. The life of American writer Mark Twain has been inexorably linked to the passing of Halley's Comet from beginning to end. The famous comet visits us every 75 to 76 years. It will next be visible in 2061, but a noteworthy appearance happened in November 1835. Just 2 weeks after its perihelion, meaning the point of its orbit which was closest to the Sun, Samuel Langhorne Clemens was born in Florida, Missouri. He would go on to adopt the pen name Mark Twain and become one of America's most celebrated authors. Throughout his life, Twain took a keen interest in science and was well aware of his connection to Halley's Comet. In the early 20th century, the writer was getting on in years and knew that the end was near. However, he also knew that the comet was due to pass by Earth again soon, and he was convinced that he would not die before that happened. As he put it, now there are these two unaccountable freaks. They came in together, they must go out together. He could not have been more right. Mark Twain died on April the 21st, 1910, just one day after Halley's Comet reached its perihelion. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do smash.
No, this is that zombie, isn't it?